If you're learning React.js, then you must know that React.js was created by Facebook or Meta. And today I've got for you a Meta React.js interview question. Yes, a React.js question that was asked in an interview in Meta. And the question is, you can say beginner to medium level of difficulty. And in this video, we will solve it together. So if you want to solve it, if you want to try the question yourself, then just go ahead, watch the video till I explain or I go through the question myself, and then pause the video, go ahead, attempt the question, give yourself, let's say, an hour, or even more than that. If you're a beginner, you can give yourself 1.5 hour, let's say around 90 minutes or 60 minutes, and then you can try it. And if you're able to do it, good. If you're not able to do it, then you can watch the video to see the solution. So I'll try to follow an approach where the solution would be simpler. I will talk with you about how you can improve the solution, but we will go ahead with a basic solution with not too much of complexity. Okay, so let's go through the question. Welcome to Meta React.js interview. Your task is to build a transfer list component. A transfer list allows users to pass items from one list to another. UX mockup provided. So here is the UX mockup. Okay, so this would be something like where you select this and you pass on to this section. Maybe you can go the other side as well. The transfer list should consist of two lists with the directional action buttons. This must be the directional action buttons. The user should be able to select one or multiple items and move the items to other list by clicking the action buttons. Okay. I hope the question is clear. The question looks pretty clear. You have to create some user interface looking like this, where you have a list of some data along with some checkboxes with buttons to move selected data from this list to this list, and then back to the left one from right one. Okay, so this is the left list, this is the right list. Okay, so I think, yeah, we can start with this. Either you can have an array of simple data 1, 2, 3, 4, or I think because we have a checkbox and I would have to work with whenever things are selected, I would have to have some indication, some flag knowing which one is selected. So there's two approaches. One would be whenever anything is selected, I take it out, I keep it as a separate list item in a separate temporary storage, maybe in state, where I can maintain that, okay, these are the selected items, and then I talk about the action, whether I have to move it to the left or the right list. Or what I can do is I can have a flag where I update the flag whenever any particular list item is checked, so that I know which ones are selected and which ones have to be moved to the other list. So I think I'll go with the second approach, where I will have a flag. So let's quickly start with it. Okay. So in the app.js, we don't have anything. What I would want to create is, one way would be I don't create any extra component. I just create everything inside the app.js, which is fine. I can always have a conversation with the interviewer that, okay, I can move some things or whatever I feel like to a separate component, but that's totally fine. So I'll try to, do a mix of, if I think, because directly I can see that, okay, these lists can be separate components, these action buttons can be different components, but I don't want to get into that much of complexity. I'll try to keep things simple. So let's start with it. Let's create a list component. So let's just create at least one list component, and there are two list components, and between that, what I will have, the action buttons I'll have over here only. So what I'll do is I'll have another div button, and I'll have another div. I'll be using HTML entities. Obviously these are simple angle brackets, and GT and LT, and let's see how things look. Okay, so let me quickly create another list component, list.js, and this is how it looks. Fine. Okay, so what I'll do is, in the list component, I'll quickly have this class flex. So in most of my videos, you must have seen that I create this flex class to sort of have the display flex property, which is a very handy property when you have to make things responsive and arrange stuff around. Okay, and in this display flex, so I have this list over here. Okay, over here also I can have this, I can have a div, and this flex I can also do a couple of other properties like justify content center, and align item center. Now this is how the things are looking, which is fine. I can have another class, let's say list, use it over here, list. I can remove the flex from here for now. In this list, what I'll do is I'll have simple border, solid 1 pixel. Okay, and have some border radius too. Yep, so that looks fine. These buttons are also arranged properly. We just need some padding around these buttons. So I'll have a class over here, action. Fine, so looks pretty much similar to what is provided in this ux.png. And obviously the CSS can be worked out a little more if I want to. I don't want to spend time on CSS too much. So let's get on with the actual task in hand. So what I want to do is, because we have two lists, so I will have to maintain the list items that are available in both the lists. So obviously I'll have to create two state variables in which I will store the list items. So the first one, which is the left list, or we can call the list as list 1 and list 2. So in the list 1, I will provide some default data, and for the list 2, I will just keep it as an empty array. And as the list items in the first list are selected and then moved, then we will dynamically update the values in the list 2 array as well. Okay, so let's quickly do that. Const, I'll say list 1. I'll have an array. So let me just quickly do this. List 2. Okay, and inside this, what I want to have is, I want to have objects like val1 selected false. So this is the sort of item that I want to have in the array, objects. Now obviously if you have some defined sort of data provided in the interview, then you will have to work around with that. But I think this is fine. I don't think people should have problem with this. I'm just having a better structured data so that I can use that in the transfer list. Okay, so we have simple values and a selected flag. All are false by default. And let's now quickly use this in the list component. So what I'll do is I'll send items is equal to list 1 from here, and items is equal to list 2 to this particular. List 2 is empty array, so we don't have to worry much about it. Let me just minimize this a little. Okay, so let's head to the list component and make some changes over there. Here I will be expecting some props, or I can directly expect items array. And over here what I'll do is, we have a simple div with list. I want to do items dot map value, let's say index also. We will create a simple div over here. In that div, what I want to do is have an input type is equal to checkbox, and the value, let's see if this works. So this val would be an object, val.val. I think that should be it. And this is what we return. So let me just bring it in the single line. Okay, so this looks nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we can do over here is, yeah, we can have this key val.val. Let's not go with index. I don't think we even need index, right? I think this is fine. This is working well for us. Things are getting selected obviously because this is input, and everything is getting selected. Everything is visible as well. This over here, the second list doesn't have any item, and it is appearing smaller. So we can have some sort of minimum height for the list. And some padding as well. So we have a padding of 20 pixel. Let me just give a minimum width too, just to sort of look close to what is provided. Yeah, this is not fine. So in the list, if I use flex also, oops, So what I will have to do is flex direction column. Okay, yeah, so now it looks fine. Both the lists are of same size. Even if it's empty, it's still of the same size, and we have all the elements listed in the list one. Now what we have to do is, now the fun part starts. So the list is complete. It is displaying data perfectly. Now what I have to do is I have to make sure that whenever something is selected, this flag is updated. So what I will do is, okay, on change of this, there are two ways in which I can do it. I want to, because there are two lists, so I want to go ahead and create two functions. I don't want to, get into the trouble of creating a single function and managing everything on that. I can do that as well, but let's take the simpler approach. So what I'll do is I'll create two functions, update list one, and I'll do update list two. Obviously the code would be similar, but let's just go with it, and if things are required to be changed, we can do that. Update fun, and I'll send this. I can keep the name same as well, but this is also fine. Update fun or update funk makes more sense, and we get this. Okay, so in this we will expect another item in the object, update funk, and on change we will be using update funk. All right, so whenever any item is selected, input changes, this update funk would be called, and for list one it is update list one, and for the list two it is update list two right now. Okay, I don't think we have to do anything over here. Let's just have a value attribute attached to this particular input checkbox. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. So let's try with the first list first. In the first list, what will happen is, obviously we'll expect the event over here. Let me see that. Okay, we will get the value from this e.target.value. We will get the value that is selected from the input type, which is the number that is selected. And then what we will do is we can have the list one. So one thing would be, now to update this list one, we have to use this set list one, obviously. So let's create a temporary list item, list temp list one is equal to list one dot map, and what we will do over here is val, if val dot val is equal to v, what we have to do is we have to do val dot selected is equal to opposite of val dot selected, because if it's selected then we have to unselect it, if it's not selected we have to select it. All right, so we change it and we return the val, so that is stored in the temp list one. And then let me just console log it to see what is inside this temp list one. And eventually what we will do is we will set this into list one state. Make sense? I think it does. Let's see if it is working or not. Let me just open the console and let's see, refresh, select, everything is false, nothing happened. Everything is false, nothing happened. Okay, so this is not working. Let's see why. What we have done is we have done val.selected. Oh yeah, it should be val.selected is equal to not of val.selected, and val.val return val. Let me just quickly log the val over here. Let's see. I think this should have worked, but maybe something is causing some problem. Selected val. Okay, I got the problem. I've used this triple is equal to, and the thing that, so this is coming in as a string. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to do parse foolish of me int, and now it should work. Let's just see. Yep, true, worked. This, now we have true. So every time I select anything, this works. Okay, so this is fine. This part is working well. Now what we have to do is, once these are selected, the list is updated, and the same thing we have to do for the second list as well. Copy, paste. I just have to change this temp list 1 to temp list 2, this 2, and this list 1 to list 2. So the same thing would be done in list 2 as well. Whenever we select something in the list 2, we update the value as we are saving the same thing in the list 2 as well as an object with attributes or properties as value and selected. So these two are fine. Now what we have to do is the main part, moving part. Oops, what is the problem? E is not defined. Where? Okay, over here. So E stands for event, right? So these two functions are defined. We will not even be working with the update list 2. First, let's see update list 1 and the second part works. So for each click of this button, what we will do is on click, let's have function like move to right. And for this second one, we'll have move to left. And that's what they're doing, right? So let's quickly make two functions, const move right, sorry, left. So first let's see how we can implement move right. Now in move right, what we have to do is, once we have element selected over here, as soon as the user clicks on this button, move right, we want to move these selected items to this particular list. So what we'll have to do is, we'll have to iterate over the first list, which is the list 1. We iterate over the list 1, we see which one are true, that means they are selected ones. We use the filter high order function and we remove those whichever are true, and we sort of we can push them in a temporary list and then add all of that in the second one. So let's see how we can do that. So move right we will implement first. Whenever move right is clicked, what I want to do is I want to iterate over this list 1 using the filter function. And what I want to do is, if let's say val.selected is equal to true, that means the item is selected. So that is when, let me just create a temporary temp list 2. And this temp list 2 that I want to create should have everything that is already existing in the list 2, right? Then only I can add more stuff to it. Initially it is empty, but eventually it will have some stuff. So let me just initialize it with list 2. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so this temp list 2 and this filtering we are doing, okay, and we'll have to update the list 1 as well because we have to remove items from the list 1 as well. So let's create an empty temp list 1 also as an empty array, or just, yeah, we don't need to define it as an array. Let's just do it like this. And what I will do is, if this is selected as true, I have to do two things. In the temp list 2, I have to push the val and I have to return false so that it gets removed from this list 1, and in this temp list 1 it will not be added because I'm returning false. And if I return true, then it will be kept in the list. Or I think even if I don't return true, but just to be a bit more verbose, let's do this. Okay, so list 2 and list 1 are ready. Now what we have to do is set list 1 as this one and set list 2 as this list item. Written too much of code, I think. Not too much, but yeah, I think if this works, our code should properly work. Otherwise we'll have to see what's happening. Okay, it looks like it is working. 3, yeah, and obviously this will not move back because we have not implemented that. But if I select 1 and 4, okay, if I select 3 again, okay, so this is working very good. And the second part would be same, so I don't think we have to do much. We just have to copy it. And for move left, things have to be changed. So temp list 1 would be this would be list 1, this would be list 2, and we have to use the filter function on list 2 now. And temp list 1 would get the push function over here. Okay, set list 1 is this, set list 2 is this. We start with the list temp list 1 with the list 1 items, and we iterate on the list 2 items because we have to move left from the list 2 to list 1. Okay, and we keep on pushing. Yeah, looks fine. I think this should work and we should be able to complete this interview question. Moment of truth. Oops, something got wrong over here. 1, 3 came over here. 3, oops. What is happening? Did I miss something? Move left, temp list 1. So we start with creating a temp list 1 in which we keep all the items from list 1 that is stored in the state, which is fine. Then we create a temp list 2, we filter over the list 2, we see which one is selected, and we push it onto the temp list 1. Yeah, I think this looks fine. Push it and return false. So it's not in the temp list 2 now. And then we set list 1 as this and set list 2 as this. So why the left movement is not fine? Because when we are moving left, what is happening is, if I select this, if I click on this, nothing is sort of happening. Why is something not happening? Maybe this function is not working fine. Update list 2. Let's just check if this update list 2 is working fine. We are getting fine. Temp list 2 is list 2 selected. Set list 2, temp list 2. Yeah, looks fine. Let's just console log this temp list 2 and see. To move over here, select 2. We have val2 selected false. Okay, so this is not getting updated. Not getting updated. List2.map. What is list 2? I think list 2 should be fine because okay, there is some issue with the indexing. Why? I think in the flow of copy pasting I have missed something and I'm not able to see it. I think I should have written the code by myself. So this is an array that we have created, list 2, and we want to create these objects. We want to keep these objects as it is, and that's what we are doing. So in this update list 1, I'm just iterating over each of them, checking the value, %, same val selected is not equal to this, return val, and keeping the same in the temp list 1. But there is something fundamentally incorrect that I'm unable to see. Okay, so let's just, let's see when the things are moving to list 2. Let's try to see what is moving. So when we are moving to right and I'm setting the list, this is this. Let's see what is in there. I am missing something. Oh, that's for sure. Oh, okay. This is moving in as true. Already select. I missed that. So what we have to do is, got the mistake. I think, yeah. Sometimes we do blunders and yeah, we regret. So what I have done over here is, this is selected as true and I have moved this thing as it is to the temp list 2. What I will have to do is, first I have to do this val selected is equal to false, and then move to the item that I want to. What happened? Expected an assignment or function call. Sorry. Yeah. So we'll change it to false and then push into the temp list 2. And similarly on moving left also we'll do the same. Yeah, I think now it should be fine. So now if yeah, let's try moment of truth. Otherwise we'll again do some logging and see what's happening. 1 3 moved here, 1 3 moved back. Okay, yeah, so now it is working for us. 1 4 moved here, 3 moved here, 4 moved here, 2 selected, 1 selected, 1 moved here, 2 moved here. Yep, everything is working fine. Whew. So yeah, that was about it. Obviously, this is not the perfect solution. There can be so many more different solutions to this problem, and yeah, you can take different approaches. It can be better. Like I said, these action buttons can be moved to different components altogether. You can even break down things into more individual component stuff, and some of these functions can be written and reused. But yeah, that's the first attempt that we done. If the object changes, maybe we don't have this selected flag, we don't have array of objects, we just have array with values 1 2 3 4, then we will have to go with more array functions oriented approach, where we'll have to use more of the array indexes and maybe create a temporary list to hold the selected items. But for this one, maybe we'll have to create two lists to hold the selected items. For list 1 also we'll have a separate list where we will keep all the selected list 1 items, and for list 2 also we'll have to create a temporary list 2 in which we'll create the selected for the list 2, and then the movement will happen. So yeah, different approaches, but the end goal is sort of same. This is working for us. Do let me know if you like this video. I have tried to give you the first hands-on approach that I would follow when I am presented with a problem like this one. I'll bring in more interview questions for you guys so that you guys can also practice side by side, as I'll get hands on more such interview problems. It is sometimes tricky to find, but yeah, there are a lot of things, there are a lot of problems, but I want to find problems that are some good problems presented in some good interviews. So I look for more and will bring more such things for you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share your comments and your approach. Maybe you can find issues in this approach. Obviously, like I said, this is just a first approach that came to my mind. It can be improved. While I was writing the code, I had so many other ideas that I could have used to improve this, but that's totally fine, right? So, and if I write a simpler approach, that's where you guys get triggered, and in the comment section below you will share your suggestions, and that's what I want, more discussions around this, right? So if you think you can improve this one, have a better approach, please share that in the comment section below and we'll have a discussion around that. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload any other new video. There is a tractor outside making too much of noise, so let's end the video. Thank you so much for watching the video. See you next time.